Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I could film what's on my radar video. Guys, my mic has died, so please bear with me. I'm already here. I'm already here. We're doing it. And my voice isolation technology will just have to do some heavy lifting for right now. But anyway, I've done quite a few of these what's on my radar videos in the past. I basically have compiled a list, essentially a TBR, of books that I just really feel like I'm in the mood for in that moment. The books that I really want to try to get to over the next few months. And so initially it was just me talking about books that I feel like I really wanted to read in that moment. But then it became kind of a challenge with myself to read a lot of them because I had gone back and looked at the first one that I did a couple months after, and I had actually read quite a few of them. So since then I've been challenging myself to kind of read from a quarterly TBR of sorts, very loosely, but this time around I think I read 8 out of the 12 books that I put on that TBR. So let's get into it. Let's first talk about the 4 books that I did not get to this time around. So I didn't get to The Unmaking of June Farrow. I just don't think that I'm interested in it anymore, and if not completely I don't think I'm completely uninterested, but I don't think that I will want to get into it in the next few months. Something about this is making me feel like it's more of a cozier read, like closer to the end of the year. Maybe I may pick it back up, but for the next few months I don't think that this one is on my radar. Next is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. When I put this one on my radar video, I thought that this was The Starless Sea by Laini Taylor. Don't know where I got that like mixed up in my head. I don't know how I did that, but it in fact is not the same book. I actually, funnily enough, finished Strange the Dreamer yesterday, and it was a 6-star. It was actually perfection. I loved it so much, and so I don't know, this one, the description almost sounds like a mix of Piranesi and Strange the Dreamer, but I hated Piranesi. Not hated, but I didn't love Piranesi, and I absolutely loved Strange the Dreamer. So I'm still interested in this, but I don't know. I read The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, and I didn't love that one. So I'm going to keep it. I don't think I'll read it next month, but I think in the next coming months, if I'm having Strange the Dreamer withdrawals, I feel like this might be a good one to jump into. Okay, next we have Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. I read Out on a Limb early last year, and since then I've been really wanting to read this one because I knew that it was coming out, and I also love a second chance romance. There's literally no reason I haven't picked this book up yet, to be honest. Like I'm trying to formulate an excuse and I don't have one. So I'm going to keep this one. I think the next coming months are like prime rom-com reading season. So I can't in good conscience take this one off because I still do think I'm going to love it so much. I just haven't gotten around to it. And the last one that I didn't get to is A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. I'm not going to get to this one. I'm not going to keep it on my radar. I was in the middle of the Bridge Kingdom series by Danielle L. Jensen, and I truly just didn't. I lost steam with it. I felt like it got very repetitive and like we were going nowhere with it, kind of. So I don't think I'm in the mood for like jumping into another one of her worlds right now. Alright, so we have a couple of classics in this list. There's one that's missing, but I think that there are actually 4 classics on this list, which is very unlike me. I don't know who I am, but I am just in the mood to kind of sink my teeth into some classic lit over the next few months. So I think that's what I'm going to do. The first one is a short one. I feel like this will be a really easy one to kind of get myself back into reading classics. This is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I've never read this one before, and I just think like if I really want to read a classic. It's 142 pages, like, and the font is pretty big. I feel like I could get into this and out of it really quickly, no problem. So I think I'm going to kind of prioritize this one over the next month. I think this one I'll pick up first. I know this story very like loosely. Classic novel of the American jazz age. It is the story of a fundamentally innocent man drawn to his own destruction through infatuation with a girl called Daisy, whose voice is full of money. Okay. I've also never seen the book, so I feel like, wait, what? I've also never seen the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, so I feel like I could read that and watch the movie. Okay, the next one is one that I actually have already started. I'm on page 126 and I was really enjoying it. However, I was using it as my treadmill book earlier in the month, and then I was pretty much out of the country for the rest of the month, so I didn't end up going back on the treadmill since I read the first 127 pages of it. But I am really liking this one. This is First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. It's about Aidan and Lucy. Lucy is a single mother and Aidan is a radio show host. He hosts this radio show called Heartstrings, I think, where he talks about love and romance and all those things. So one day Lucy's daughter calls in looking for help and advice for her mom because she feels like her mom is lonely, and one thing leads to the other, and Lucy ends up co-hosting some episodes with Aidan on his radio show, and romance ensues. I think I'm going to really like this. This reminds me of The Ugly Truth, that movie, and the book The X-Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon, which I also loved. So I feel like this is going to be right up my alley. The next one I have already started as well because, as I said, I was doing a lot of traveling this month, so there were a lot of books that I started and then I wasn't in the mood for when I was on vacation, so I kind of put them to the side. But I do want to finish this one. This one is 10 minutes and 38 seconds in the Strange World by Elif Shafak. The concept of this is so interesting to me. It's basically our main female character, I think her name is Tequila. It's Tequila Leela, and she passes away, and we're basically just following her thought process. We're also learning a bit about her backstory, but we're following her thoughts and feelings in those like 10 minutes and 38 seconds where you're dead but you still have like a bit of consciousness and your life basically flashes before your eyes. It's like a phenomenon that I think I've heard of. I don't know if it's technically like 10 minutes and 38 seconds or what it is factually, if it even exists, but it's always been so interesting to me. I love the concept of like your life flashing before your eyes, all of the best moments, like almost a highlight reel playing when you die. So I've been enjoying it so far. I'm like 50 something, yeah, I'm 51 pages into it. So I do really plan on finishing this one up in the coming months, hopefully in this month. Well, not this month, in July. Okay, this one is a romance that I've had my eye on for a bit. I've had this one on my TBR, I think, since last year, and it's One Last Shot by Betty Kayuet. And something about it intrigues me. It's a second chance romance, which is my favorite. So they met when they were teenagers, and then when they finally got to talking about how they feel about each other, they were torn apart for whatever reason. I'm sure we'll find out. And years later, our female main character is a model and our main male character is a photographer, and there's this photo shoot that they have to embark on together. So I think that this one will be fun. It looks like we'll be doing some travel, and I feel like that could be fun. I have a trip to Barbados coming up next month, so I think I'll carry this one. Next we have a completely unsummary read. Quite a few of these are actually not summary at all, but I'm not really a seasonal reader in that way. It doesn't really bother me. But The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, I've read 2. I'm tempted to say 3 or 4 because I also read a Christmas novel, but I feel like I'm forgetting one that I've read. But regardless, I've read a couple of her books before and I've really enjoyed them. This book really intimidates me. I think this book is like the longest standing book on my TBR next to The Book Thief and All the Light We Cannot See and some classics. I feel like those have stood the test of time. I just really want to read it. I want to read it. I want to see what all the hype is about. I know the movie is finally coming out. It literally says soon to be major motion picture on this, and I got this book at least 4 years ago, maybe even 5. So that movie has to be perfection. It's been in the works 4 years now, so yeah, I really want to read it before the movie comes out. It is thick though. It's like, actually it's not that thick, it's like 550 pages, which is kind of around the same page number as Strange the Dreamer that I read, but I feel like this one is going to be sadder and slower because it's historical. So I want to read this one. I really do. I don't know why I'm talking so negatively when I'm saying that this is on my radar. I do want to read it, but I am scared and intimidated. There are a lot of scary, intimidating books on this one, so I guess I'm really challenging myself with this TBR because I'm like, okay, you've been doing really well over the past few TBR videos. Hello! You have found me. So I think I'm going to get to this one. I will get to it, I swear. The next one we have is actually a placeholder for the first book in the series. I thought that this was the first book, but it's actually the second one. That's what happens when you don't read, guys. But this one is the second book in the series. The first one is actually City of Brass, and I saw that one is on Kindle Unlimited and I have it in my library, so I really want to read that one and then get to Kingdom of Copper in the next couple months. This one is I really don't know much about it. I know it's a Southeastern inspired fantasy, but I can't remember. Yeah, I don't know why I just read the back of this book, even though I literally just said that this is a sequel. But equally, I didn't understand a word, so nothing going on up here. And I didn't spoil a thing because I actually don't think I read anything at all. Yeah, just lie down and chill. We're chilling. Okay, another completely unsummer book. The Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne. I read Orbiting Jupiter yesterday, and I think it's like a similar premise where there's an orphan, We have this young boy who's been adopted, and we see here that at the mercy of fortune and coincidence, he will spend a lifetime coming to know himself and where he came from. And over his many years will struggle to discover an identity, a home, a country, and much more. I think this is set in Ireland. Yeah, this is set in Ireland, which I love. I love movies, shows, books set in Ireland for some reason, which is why I really want to read Land by Maggie O'Farrell. However, I don't have that on my physical TBR, and we are only talking books that I really want to get off of my physical TBR in these videos, so that's just like an honorable mention. I just dropped my book and bent it, so that's so good. Love that. Okay, the next book we have is Bel Canto by Anne Patchett. I really want to read this one. My dog has zoomies outside, like she's going absolutely crazy. Anyway, yeah, this one has been compared to Anxious People by Frederick Bachman, and I see why now. It's about a hostage situation at this affluent businessman's birthday party, and it says here, what begins as a panicked, life-threatening scenario slowly evolves into something quite different. A moment of great beauty as hostages forge unexpected bonds and people from different continents become compatriots, intimate friends, and lovers. I'm going to love this one. I know I'm going to love this one, and it's also pretty short. I feel like I've put some short books on here to balance out some of the insanity that you will see soon. And The Nightingale. The Nightingale is also a large book by my standards. And I think City of Brass is also pretty long. So then we have To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I love this book. I love this book so much. This would be a reread because I've read this one, I think when I was like 15, back in school, which I feel like everybody did. But I remember really loving it. It's one of my favorites that I've ever studied. But I feel like I'll be able to come into this with a new perspective now, being so much older and knowing a lot more about life and prejudice and the justice system. I feel like I'll be able to take so much more from it now than I could at 15. And so I really, really, really want to reread this one for some reason. It's just been on my mind and on my heart. So this is this is the second classic on my list. The big chunker, the big scary beast on this TBR is Crime and Punishment. I have been reading this book, to be frank with you all, 4 years now. It has to be at least like 2 years that I've been trying to read this one. I actually picked it back up this year in February around my birthday, and I'm on page 77. This one is just so dense. It's so dense, and there's just, I'm not even sure what's going on. But this one is like a challenge book to me. It's one that I just really, I know I would feel so accomplished if I read it. And I'm also hoping to get some type of really meaningful message from it about crime and justice and punishment. And similarly to Kill a Mockingbird, I feel like I'll just have a really interesting perspective now. So I don't know, I really want to read it. It tells the story of Raskolnikov, a destitute and desperate former student who wanders through the slums of St. Petersburg and commits a random murder without remorse or regret. He imagines himself to be beyond conventional moral laws. But as he embarks on a dangerous game of cat and mouse with a police investigator, Raskolnikov is pursued by the growing voice of his conscience and finds the noose of his own guilt tightening around his neck. I just feel like it's such an interesting concept, but why is it so dense? Okay, equally, there's nothing wrong with a book being dense. I just need to rise to the occasion. Okay, and last but not least, we have our fourth and final classic on this list, which is a lot, like in terms of the ratio. I don't know why I'm pretending like I know ratios, and now it's 13, which means it's a weird number and I can't do math with it. But yeah, the last one is, what I was saying is that there's just a large amount of classics on this list for my usual taste, but I'm intrigued to see how I rise to the challenge. The last one that I have is a really battered old copy of Sense and Sensibility. I feel like my trick to reading classics is making sure that I'm sprinkling in some rereads of classics that I've already read, already studied. This one is a reread, as I said, and I read this one I think back in 2020. I liked it. I'll be honest, I did really, really like this book when I read it. I think at the time I was reading a lot of contemporary fiction, so I feel like the plot didn't go where I needed it to in terms of like keeping my interest. And I was also like only a couple years into getting back into reading, or I had just started getting back into reading for like leisure. So I don't know, I think at that time I couldn't really appreciate this book for what it was, but I remember liking it a decent amount. So I really want to go back in and read this one. I also know that the adaptation with Daisy Edgar Jones is coming out later this year, so I would also like to read it before that comes out. I remember liking a lot of the themes, and I liked the relationship between the sisters. I thought it was interesting and complex, and I also loved some of the quotes in here. I'm seeing some on my cover. His own enjoyment or his own ease was in every particular his ruling principle. Everything he said was clever. Oh, yeah. I remember this one. Where they were talking about like one sister who values like sense and logic, and one sister who values like love and passion and stuff like that. I loved that conversation. I feel like I'm in the place mentally right now where I could really enjoy this. So, and I'm on the hunt for my 5-star classic. It has to be out there. Whether it's a 140-page book about, a man being destroyed by a woman, which I love, or I think this one is a good contender, or I don't know if Crime and Punishment will really get me there, to be honest. I feel like that one is more of an accomplishment rather than like truly enjoying something, but I guess we'll see. I'm definitely open to it. And yeah, I am actually really excited about all of these books on my radar. I feel like I'm going to have a really good few reading months. Even though it's not very summary, I hope that, I guess, any of these books piqued your interest, and if you find them interesting, let me know. I hope you really enjoyed today's video, and I will see you next time. Bye.